When you're making painted background papers and you get all, finished with your batch, do you ever feel like your drop paper underneath is just so much better than the pages that you painted? I do all the time. In fact, I look for ways to just make drop paper without actually having to paint anything in order to get it. And that's what I've been doing this week. Let me show you. I painted just a few pages. This is a few in my world. And these are fabulous. I know you really can't see what's going on here, and I'm not going to flip through this whole stack, but I did pull out a few that I will flip through and show you. And I'm also going to show you how to do this, because these are wonderful, and I just can't tell you how awesome they sound. Shh, listen. Shh, shh. How fabulous is that? They're so crinkly and delightful. So, let me show you the results that you get, and then I'll show you how to get those results. We'll just do it backwards. These were all done with watercolors. And I hear a lot from people who don't like using watercolors because they feel like they just create mud all the time. And it is easy to get really muddy with your watercolors. I'm going to show you how to make that mud work for you, because just about all of these have some mud on them. So we're going to make mud on purpose, and then I'll show you what to do with it when that happens. With acrylics, it's a whole different thing. You make mud with your acrylics, you've got mud, basically. You make mud with watercolors, you've got options. So let me show you some of these backgrounds. I'm just going to quickly kind of flip through and show you the different color variations that you can get. Obviously, to do this, you're going to need a stack of scrap papers. I have just small, some of them are really little scraps that I have from leftover from other projects. Index cards, notepads, ledger sheets, envelopes, book pages, notebook paper, anything like that, any kind of paper, magazine pages, even glossy magazine pages. They're not ideal. You get a little bit of a different look with them, but you can use them. Just look. Just look. Look. Just look. Look. This just thrills me. The colors. It's just very exciting, and oh my gosh, it's easy. You can do this. Trust me, you can do this. Now, the question I always get, what do you do with these papers? Who cares? Just make them. They're fun. If you enjoy the process of making them, just make them. You know, what you do with them will come later. And I will tell you that it will come later, because I had a bin of acrylic background pages, just like that box of watercolor that I showed you. Yeah, I had at least that many, probably more, background papers painted with acrylics. And I've accumulated over the last, I don't know, year, 2 years. They're almost gone. When I painted them, I had no plan for them at all. You know, I don't plan. Who does that? Not me. I don't know. I don't understand that. I don't plan. I just do. The plan comes later. Oh, look. You can even do napkins. I had this napkin was in the wrong stack, actually. I don't know why it was in with my scrap papers, but it was there, so I used it. And look. So, yeah. Phone book pages, and this is actually a part of one of those paint things like you get at Lowe's at the hardware store. It was a fold-out book. I think it had 3 sections, a brochure is what I'm trying to say. And these were samples of different colors of white paint. You know, white, off-white, and all those crazy shades of white. So I just watercolored on it. And look, it's just beautiful. I did another one too, and some of these swatches, you know, I put so much water on it that the swatch is starting to peel up. They've kind of peeled up and curled. Yeah, no biggie. I'll glue them back down. It'll be good as new. So, yeah, there's an option for you. Some are front and back, some are just one side, and usually what I did, I'm going to use a lot of water on here, so I would paint one side and then set it aside to dry. Okay, we all know that's a lie. I stuck it in my oven, right? I'm very impatient. You can put these in your oven to dry, which I did. And then after it was dry, then I went in and did the backs of some of them, not all of them. Most of the magazine pages were lining my work area. And at the end, when I was done, I just went through and added more color to them to make them look, you know, more intentional. And they're wonderful. I just can't tell you how happy these make me. That's one of my favorites. And normally, you know, I don't like the hard edges. I would try to make them look more blendy, but this one I left the hard edges. You know, you could see where the brush hit the paper, and it's wonderful. Okay, so how do we do this? Here's what you're going to need. First, you're going to need to forget everything that you know about watercolors and using watercolors. If you don't know anything about watercoloring, you're actually ahead of the game because you won't have to unlearn what you've already learned. We are going to pretty much break every watercolor rule that there is. We're going to use thin absorbent papers that weren't meant for wet media. We're not going to use any kind of gesso or absorbent ground. You know, no prepping the pages. We're going to use way too much water. We are going to not rinse our brush. There will be no cup of water to rinse your brush. Here's what you're going to need. Instead of a rinse cup, you're going to need a squirt bottle. Just any kind of a squirt bottle with plain water. Something like that, but not a brush cup. You're going to need some kind of a towel to wipe your brush on occasionally. I found that a ShamWow works really good for this. You know, these are made to hold a lot of water and to be really absorbent, so they're great for watercoloring and for wiping your brush off because it's going to get really, really wet, and the ShamWow can hold all that water. So, who knew? You're going to need a brush, just one. One's all you need. I chose this one. You need kind of a, it doesn't really matter what shape it is. Don't worry about that, any shape. The flat ones are fine. This one's one of the pointy ones. But it's going to need to be a rather large brush because we're covering a large area. So the little skinny fine brushes are going to frustrate you. That's got dried paint in it. So you're going to need that. And then you're going to need some watercolors. Okay, you are going to need cheap watercolors. If you have unlimited funds, then yeah, sure, go ahead. Use fancy free for expensive watercolors. But for the rest of us, just get, and if you don't have any, get a very inexpensive set. I prefer praying for inexpensive watercolors, and I have some good watercolors. This is Talon's. This is a good brand. These to me are just as good as these and the Koi and all the other ones. So inexpensive watercolors are what you need. You need 8 colors is enough. If you have more, that's great, but you don't need a ton of colors. Yeah, if you have to go out and buy a set, a Crayola set would be fine. Just something really cheap. The reason I say get cheap colors is because you're going to end up probably using them up, or at least making a huge dent in them. And if you buy an expensive set, you know, at the end of your painting session, you're going to be like, oh dang, I used up all my colors. So that's why I say use inexpensive. And these I have been enjoying very much. These were a gift. And I'd never used this brand before, but I'm really liking it. And you can see that I've made a good dent in these. over this past week, and this is just from this week. Using them this week, that's it. So, yeah. That's all you're going to need. So, okay, I think I have rambled in preparation long enough. I showed you my pages. Oh, I didn't show you this. Let me show you this. This was the guts of a junk journal that I had started, I don't know, a year or so ago. And it has some sewn pages on it. And it was just weird and I didn't like it. I had put some of the pages in upside down and that bugged me at that time, so I never really used it. I didn't put a cover on it. I didn't use it. I just had these guts stitched together. And some of them were magazine pages, glossy magazine pages, and then others were just scrap papers. So I got out my watercolors and started watercoloring, and I watercolored over the glossy magazine pages. This is the page from, I think this is like Somerset Studio or what's that one, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors, that's not it. Okay, whatever that craft magazine that sounds like rock, paper, scissors. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, but they're glossy. And you can watercolor on glossy pages. Yes, it beads up. Yes, it's weird. Yes, it takes a long time to dry, but it'll work. Trust me. I mean, look, it worked. So I went through and just literally slapped watercolor on these pages, and I'm absolutely thrilled with the way it turned out. So, awesome, right? And then this is a sneak peek at what's coming up next. I've been making some, I call them handmade magazines instead of handmade books. And I've been using some magazine pages, which, okay, you may be asking, that's kind of ridiculous to take apart a magazine so that you can make another one. If that's ridiculous to you, then find another craft. This is not for you. Because it's not ridiculous to me. It makes perfect sense. Because I've added other pages that are not from a magazine. So there. Alright, well, anyway, I'll show you how to do that later. But today, let's watercolor. Let's go to the footage that I already shot. And I will show you how to get some of these wonderfully messy watercolor pages that are made with muddy colors, but you really can't tell that they're muddy colors. So, here we go.
Bye.